Hey everybody, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. So, I don't know what you think, but personally I find creeper farms to be the absolute ugliest farm in the game. I've tried making one before in a now deleted video over a year ago, but I gave up because for some reason I made it really far from the base and it was really annoying to get to it. So, it's a dead project, we'll never talk about it again. But today, we're gonna make the most overkill shell around a creeper farm in the sky ever. So sit back and enjoy the show. But before we get started on the build here, I had to collect quite a few blocks, which luckily I had in here still. There's 4 shulker boxes here filled with stone and dirt, which will probably be the base of the terraforming that we're gonna do. And later on, if I need anything else, I'll come back down here and get it. But before we get too deep into the build here, I did want to talk about something really quick as far as like inspiration for builds goes. And I want to try something today that I've never done before, which is to build something based off of a dream, which I thought might be a cool concept to start doing out here because it mixes the more structural like architecture that I like to build and some whimsical weird ideas together, which I think make for some more interesting lore to our survival world. And I think it would also be cool to serve as like a dream journal where when I do dream Minecraft things, I write them down already, but I kind of just have a list of builds in a Google Doc right now. So I think it would be cool to kind of categorize the dream builds and start making them in my world here slowly but surely. I think it would be a really cool way to kind of chart what I dream about. And that actually brought me to this question that I was really curious and excited to ask about, which is where do you guys get your ideas to build in Minecraft? Do you watch a movie? Or do you sometimes just kind of get an idea that pops into your head? Or is it from YouTube? I'm really curious to know, because for me, a lot of the time, I think it comes from watching other people play the game and seeing how they do it, and then I kind of want to do something similar to them. Primarily a lot of Beat Below, Good Times with Scar, all those crazy good builders on YouTube are really a great source of inspiration to me. So I did do a bit of a time cut here between these clips, and there's definitely a lot more here now than there was 10 seconds ago in the video. So I thought I would just explain what I'm doing if it wasn't clear. I'm working on creating a custom mountain here on top of this orb, which is proving to be a pretty difficult task, but I'm just sort of trying to do a little outline of what the base mountain will look like. But keep in mind that this is only going to be an outline because there's going to be a castle taking up a lot of the space on this thing, so I won't actually have to have that much of it developed. It's just sort of a wireframe so that I kind of know where to put pieces of the castle. Truth be told, I've actually never done a build like this before, so I am kind of nervous as to how it's going to turn out and if I'll be able to pull it off. And as I keep building here, it is only getting worse. So I have been busy at work trying to sort of just design like the main silhouette of how this place is going to look. And yeah, we don't talk about the backside, but it's not looking super duper cool yet. I'm not really satisfied with the overall layout of the castle, but I do like this water feature. That's pretty cool. But the rest of it, not so much. So what I've done is actually started collecting other blocks like bricks and terracotta and all that other stuff, which I'll show a little montage of me collecting that here. And the reason I did that is because it's actually a palette that we haven't used in a really long time. And I thought it would be cool to kind of come back to it since we're kind of building near something that does have that palette. I thought it would be cool to kind of try to use it here. And also just a question of like challenging myself and not always building in the same style or the same thing. I think it's really fun to switch it up once in a while. So here's what I got so far. It's definitely not enough, but it's just about enough to get a little start and see how it's going to look with this palette. And I turned on the shaders just to get a better look at how it's gonna be when I'm playing, because I do love my shaders, but I do think it is kind of cheaty because it makes ugly builds a lot nicer. So let's turn them off for now. So I have been busy building this wall here and trying to do a texturing technique that I'm really bad at, which is like doing the kind of one color fades into the others. I have a really hard time accomplishing this, and I'm worried that this might be a little bit too small of a scale to be doing this with. But for now, it does give us a pretty good idea of how this place is going to look, and I'm really happy with it so far. I have done a lot more than visualize though. I've actually gone ahead and completed a pretty big portion of the castle because I got really sick and I couldn't record anymore. So let me show you guys, let me show you guys what I've been working on. It's actually pretty cool. So I've actually added a lot of mountain to the castle, and what's funny about this is most of the original mountain that I had created is now completely gone. I've basically deleted all of it and replaced it with castle and then just added more. That way the silhouette is a lot more interesting, and once we add some trees and stuff, it'll look really cool. I've also gone ahead and changed how we're going to do the texturing to this castle. So now, oh, that's not good. Now it is going to be a much more linear gradient, as you can see when I fly down. This is really good recording. It's going to be a lot more linear compared to what I was doing before over here, which is just kind of like of color. So hopefully that'll help with the redness of it all, because it is extremely red, as you can see. And hopefully now when we add some details and stuff, we can sort of chip away at that red. Now, my next thought is to remove these roofs and make them darker, but we'll see. And also, while I was gone and sick, I completed the creeper farm, and it took a lot longer than I thought it would, because the first time I made it, the creepers kept blowing it up because they would shoot the snow golems. And the second time I made it, the snow golems wouldn't even let the creepers go away. So they would just like shoot them and they would stay on the level, which didn't really work out well for the drop collecting. So what I've done now is a pretty simple mob farm. You can see here, they just decide to walk off. And when they decide to walk off, they land in this little magma spot here. We can actually see it live. Their drops get collected by this dropper, which then go into a dispenser, which gets shot up here, and this hopper minecart picks it up and just drops it off in here for now. The redstone aficionados and like farm nerds among you are probably cringing at this farm right now, and I really don't blame you, but I didn't watch a tutorial, and that's about 20 minutes actually. I didn't watch a tutorial, and I also was kind of limited in this space because I didn't plan this out, and I put it really low, and it's right on the bottom of the farm, so, or of the sphere, I mean. So you can't really do much better than this for what I've done. I know it's kind of a sin and it's not the most efficient farm, but it is leagues ahead of what we were doing before. So, I mean, it's going to produce enough, hopefully. And now the idea is that this whole space is actually going to be filled with other farms related to gunpowder. So that way, when we're here, we can just like basically farm gunpowder infinitely, kind of like a factory. And it's a really cool castle, honestly. I think the inside's gonna be really fun to decorate. But before we can do that, I think I'm gonna change out all of this jungle wood to the dark oak variant here, because it's just too pale. I find like I was using this as a contrast block, and it's just not contrasting enough with the roof. It's just kind of blending in, and it makes the entire place seem a lot like paler and doesn't help break up the red as much as I wanted it to. So I'm just gonna switch it out here and we're gonna see what it looks like together. I've actually already done 2 of the roofs, so this isn't like a new surprise. I just wanted to get enough of them done so that it's like a really obvious drastic change between the 2 types. So let's put some fences here, and let's take a fly. And there we go. That is really clean. I actually like that a lot better. I think we're gonna stick with that from now on. And you'll also notice that I built these trees. Full disclosure, I'm not very good at making trees. I used to be a lot better, but I used like voxel sniper and stuff, so making them by hand is definitely not my forte. But I think I did a pretty good job here. I think they look pretty good. Mathematically, they make sense. So it's like 5, 4, 3, 3, and then 2, 1 kind of blends in together. Same thing over here. This one might need a little bit of roofing at the top here, but I just put these in really quick without too much detail around them because I wanted to see what it would look like. I think there's going to be another one probably right here and a few around. But yeah, I wanted to see what it looked like with the trees in, because we're gonna have to start figuring out what's gonna be visible and not visible before we start the exterior detail, which is the next step. So let's jump right into that. So I think the most obvious thing to add first is the windows. What I'm doing is every 3 blocks, I'm doing a 2x1, which is really like the most basic thing you could probably do, but it does add the most amount of detail. And it is a really good foundation for the next step, which are the awnings on the outside. These are arguably the most important part of the outside, in my opinion, because they help break up the build a lot more. Now, these windows are too high, so it does make it a little bit harder to balance, but I think it's a bit of a challenge and it's really fun. So I've actually come up with 3 separate designs here. I really suggest that you do this too. It's a lot more fun when you come up with a few and you look at them all at the same time, and then you pick one that you really like. So this first one here is really simple and basic, and this would probably work a lot better for a 1x1 window. So this one we're not going to consider, I don't think. We'll use it for sure, maybe here or something like that, but not in this instance. The next one is a lot bigger and takes up a lot more space and is way more prominent when you look from far away, and has a lot more shape. But the problem with this one, which I've actually used a variation of it here, is since it is big, it doesn't make sense to have 3 of them in the same place. So we can definitely use this one somewhere, and I think I will use it again, maybe like up here or something on this side, one here and one here. But I don't think that it's a good idea to use it here because there are 3 windows. So that means that we need something a little bit simpler, that's a little bit more tileable and a little bit less busy to look at when you have a few set up together, which comes to this design here, which is probably the most basic one. It's just 2 fences and 3 stairs, but it does from far away do the job of breaking up the red. Even with the shaders on, it does a good job of breaking up the red, and it's not overly complicated to where having a bunch of them will just look really busy. So that's what I went with here. I think it looks really good, and I've actually done a lot more of the roof off camera that I'll talk about now in case you're following along and you wanted to make it yourself. So the first thing that I did was obviously complete the rest of these roofs, but I also finished up these ones and I made them a little bit more stylized. I think that it looks a lot better like this, and it does match the rest of the base. And in case you were wondering how to make these roofs, it's actually really easy. All you need to do is basically just kind of add like a half or quarter block to each side, and as you go, you just add more. So basically, see, it always goes up a little bit, and then at the end, these last 2 actually are higher on 2 blocks. So from far away, it does give this kind of like swoosh, and I did it over here as well, though a little bit different because this roof kind of like peters out and it looks like a weird shoe a little bit. So I will probably go back and fix that. I also did over here, which I think looks really, really cool. This side is starting to be completed as well, and you can notice I did do the roof design that I was talking about. It's at the same height, it's just on the other side. And the next thing that I started doing, which will add a lot of detail, I'll turn off shaders here, which adds a lot of detail, is just kind of spamming fences around. So you can see I started putting fences. A lot of them are deliberate, like don't just put them anywhere. I do kind of put them in places where it feels like the roof would collapse. So you can see I have been putting a lot, and I will be putting some up here later once I have more scaffolding, but that's the general idea. So what I'm going to keep doing is I'm going to keep working on these little pieces here off camera, and we're going to move on to the next part of the castle build here, which is making it look like it actually belongs on the island, because right now it is just kind of floating here and doesn't look like it's really like blending into its surroundings. So we can fix that really easy here with these next few little tips. Basically, it boils down to just kind of adding blocks that make sense around the base of whatever you want to blend in. So I've chosen to use coarse dirt because I think the brown really blends the green to the red really well, and some leaves to kind of tie in the trees that we were making. And man, this looks bad from back here. And of course, you know, stairs, fences or walls, and all that other good stuff. And actually, we could probably add a few fences here. That would look really good. Something like that. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so it really doesn't take long, but it really does, in the grand scheme of your build, add a lot more detail. And you can see here, I did a lot more where I kind of like made the base a little bit fatter. And it really adds a lot of detail and kind of makes the castle smush at the bottom a little bit. Just a little bit of a smush. Now, it's not a huge build, so you don't want to go too hard on the smush, but it's cool that it's there. See here, it kind of smushes out just a little bit. And I also did that for these pillars, but these ones you kind of have to be careful because they're really small, right? So it would look kind of bad if we did too much. Now, with the shaders, this does look a little bit better because it kind of just adds that much more shadow to your build and that much more, a little bit of texture. But of course, I am trying to make it look good without the shaders as well, so it's a bit of a challenge. But it does help to just continue to add detail upon detail upon detail, like the mountain here. So I have completed probably the base layer of the mountain. I think this looks really nifty with the ice and everything. Maybe I could have gone a little bit steeper and a little bit higher, but I think I like it for now because it kind of matches the top of these towers. And I have completely detailed down here. This is the pink grain coral. And when it dries, I find it's one of the nicest textures that like resembles stone. I try not to use it too often though, because it kind of looks like the moon if you put too much of it. So I tried to keep it a little bit more low key. And I've also added some more grass and stuff on the bottom here, and I think it's about ready to be called done for now, at least this front side. Maybe I can do a little bit more over there and complete that side, but overall I am super duper happy with how it's looking just as the base layer here. So that probably means at this point in the video we should start working on the inside of the castle, because right now it is just a shell. So the first thing that I like to do when I make an inside is to kind of plan out and block out where rooms will be and what function they will have, and that'll kind of help you decide how big to make them, where the doors should be, etc., all that good stuff. So obviously we have a lot of space to work with here, and since we do use the elytra a lot, I think that this spot here is pretty good for an entrance. So basically where I'll fly in and I'll have a bed and I'll have a portal and all that should be here, because that way it's easy to get around. And when we come in, I am debating using this bottom here as part of the castle, because technically it is part of the castle down here, but visually it doesn't really make sense. So I think that this theoretically should be the first floor of the castle, and whatever goes underneath here will be like basement level or just like storage and all that stuff that we can maybe pretty up later. And if you guys have any ideas for things to put in here that are creeper farm related or gunpowder related in this case, I guess, please let me know in the comments. I'd be really happy to hear it out and add the farms as we go. But the first one that we need to add here today is the sugarcane farm, and I've got a pretty cool idea on how to do that. And I lost all the clips of me building that. My mic wasn't plugged in. So I've been working pretty hard here, trying to separate out the space a little bit and make the rooms a little bit more homey and cozy. I still haven't done the ceiling though. But yeah, I built these stairs that go up into the second floor, which is not done yet. But down here, we're starting to get an idea of what this space is going to look like. So we got a portal, and when we come over here, a big spinning painting. This isn't done. And the sugarcane farm, which, like all my farms, is really mediocre. It produces some, but it's pretty slow. It's only 7, so it's not a really fast farm. But you know what? I have chests upon chests upon chests of sugarcane in the base and around the world. So once we run out of those, I'll expand this farm. Maybe like down here we'll build like a really big efficient one, but for now, I mean, you know, it's good enough. And we're already collecting gunpowder. I set this up maybe 2 minutes ago. So basically where the chest was before, I turned the rail and now it goes into this water column. And I'm not too sure how laggy these are. I am starting to rely on them a lot more than I used to. I used to build a little checker that would, like, if there was something in the dropper, it would activate the dropper on a loop. But to be honest, those things are kind of bulky and it wouldn't have fit here in this build. So I didn't use it. But I'm wondering how laggy these are when I have a bunch of them running at the same time, because there's another one there too. And look at all this gunpowder. Oh boy. All right, let's take this with us. And can I grab these 50? Yeah, we'll sacrifice the stairs. And yeah, so it's starting to work out pretty good for me here. My gunpowder worries are pretty much over. I'm not gonna lie, while I was building this place, I did run out of rockets. So it's kind of ironic. I had to start using the farm to keep my supply up, but I think this, like, if we can collect this in an hour, honestly, while I build here, we'll fill up a few chests and we'll be good forever. I have completely transformed at least this room, and oh, it's raining. I will get rid of this beacon. But yeah, this is the first room that I made. So the functionality was really important, right? I wanted to be able to reach the barrel and the chest of gunpowder without moving, just my mouse. So that way I can make a lot of rockets really fast, and I still need an ender chest in here. But yeah, I made an aquarium too. I don't know why, and it's definitely kind of ugly. So maybe with some armor stands, I can like put a fish in here in air quotes. And over here, it's like a wall of leaves and lanterns. That was the idea. I think it's really cool. And once these grow in, I think it's gonna really take up the entire space, and it's gonna be really aesthetic and fun. And I was even thinking of maybe shoving some bamboo up here instead of these books. I don't think these books are that nice, and books are kind of a cop-out. So let's turn on the shaders and take a look here. It's pretty cool, it's pretty cozy, and it's completely spawn proof, which is awesome. Something not so awesome though is I think I need to start mixing up how I do my interiors. So I do have a pretty particular style that I really like, and I think that's okay. But I do also think that maybe it's time to move on and do something a little bit different with my interiors, and maybe try to develop some new techniques and some new like tools in the toolbox. Because right now I feel like, you know, this interior is really nice. I do like where it's going so far, but it does look exactly like everything else I've made, which is cool, but it's also kind of defeating the purpose, I think, of the challenges that I've set out for myself recently. Again, I could just be in my own head about that. It's kind of really subjective, I think. It's hard to really quantify what is a good interior in Minecraft, and I think as long as I like them and they're aesthetic to me, then it doesn't really matter that much. But maybe in the future, we'll try and do some more futuristic or steampunk stuff, maybe some modern, as the medieval overgrown has been done on this channel time and time again. So here's another interior that I'm working on. Speaking of same old, this is the entrance. Basically, when you come in here, I know this is kind of funky. I'm gonna do something a little bit better with this, but when you come in, this is the hallway here. I've really tried to put some plants and some different little things in here with the spinning painting, which I really like. By the way, it's from Vanilla Tweaks. Before you guys comment, go check out Vanilla Tweaks. It's on that website. It's really cool. A lot of nifty stuff. That's where I get all my textures. But yeah, so this is one interior done, and now it's starting to look pretty done if we start looking this way. But if we look over here, I don't think we're gonna hit this this episode. I think we'll do this another time. But out here, it's looking pretty cool, and all that's left really is this area leading into the portal. And with the power of editing, it is completed. I hope those transitions work out. I haven't edited them yet, and I've done a few in this video, so it's kind of a test trying to up my editing game. But I have completed the castle. I think for now, at least this section looks really cool. So we have our portal here, and there's this back here that we'll work on eventually. But you come through the portal and you get this nice little welcoming space that you can also fly into, which is really nice. And I will finish this tower as well. It's really cool. You come in and there's all this nice stuff. It's all nice and detailed. You come down here and plenty of gunpowder. That is probably just over an hour and a half or 2 hours at this point of gunpowder. and I'm really happy with this farm. I couldn't ask for more, especially without watching a tutorial or min-maxing the spawns, because I didn't do that. I just kind of built it here, and I think it's good though. I think it's far enough to where it works. But anyway, let's turn on the shaders here and give it a real look. And oh, I really like the ambiance in here. I think it's really pretty, and I've definitely followed my themes of interior design that I like to do. But maybe the next builds we'll try and do something a little bit different. But man, I really like how this looks. I can't even be mad at it. I didn't forget about this space up here. Don't worry, I do have a plan for it, but that will come in another episode. And that's gonna do it for today. Thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. If you made it all the way here, I really appreciate you. This is gonna be my last video until the new year. So to everybody, I hope you have a nice holiday season. If you're watching this in the future, I hope you're having a nice time. And I just want to give a really big thank you to the channel members who make these videos possible. It's really crazy and I really appreciate you guys. And until next time, see ya!